Hello everyone, I'm Saruwatari of Hokkaido University. Today I'm going to talk about probabilistic analysis of storm surges caused by the explosive cyclone in winter. Many storm surges in the Northwest Pacific area have occurred due to typhoons in summer, but in December 2014, a storm surge disaster occurred in Nemuro City in Hokkaido, Japan for the first time due to the extratropical cyclone in winter. The central area of the city flooded like this photo. And also in the next year, 2015, another extratropical cyclone brought similar storm surge disaster in the same city. The successive occurrence of storm surges in the same city might suggest that topographical vulnerability of this location was a storm surge risk related to the similarity in the cyclone trajectory. These figures show the mean central pressure of the explosive cyclone in winter and the total duration of the winter cyclones. We can see an increasing trend in the intensity and duration of a winter storm since 2000. If this trend continues, further storm surge disaster caused by winter cyclones might occur more often also in the Northwest Pacific region. However, the mechanism of storm surges due to the explosive cyclones in the Northwest Pacific area has been poorly understood because less research has done in this region. Then, in this study, we will show the probabilistic features of the winter storm surges caused by explosive cyclones in the Northwest Pacific area. The features of the winter storm surge will be classified in terms of the trajectory types of the explosive cyclones. Three-dimensional numerical analyses were performed to obtain local sea level rise along coasts of Japan and Eurasia for the explosive cyclones in the past 20 years. Explosive cyclone is defined as a rapidly developed extratropical cyclone with its deepening rate during 12 hours is more than 1 hectopascal per hour. These figures show distribution of the average central pressure and moving speed of explosive cyclones in the Northwest Pacific area. Since they develop their intensity during their propagation, average central pressure is lower in the northern area. The moving speed is about 10 to 20 meters per second in the Japan Sea and Pacific Ocean, but they get slower when they approach to the Sea of Okhotsk. So in the northern area, strong wind due to an explosive cyclone continues relatively longer than the other area, which causes more risk of coastal disaster. Yoshida and Asuma proposed classification of the explosive cyclones in this area into three categories in terms of their location of formation or maximum growth. This figure illustrates the trajectory of each type of cyclone, and this figure shows the annual probability of each explosive cyclogenesis. Type 1 cyclones are formed on the continent or Japan Sea and then achieve the maximum growth on the Japan Sea. They often develop in early and end of winter. Type 3 cyclones form and develop on the Pacific Ocean. They are generated in the midwinter when the Siberian cold air mass largely extends towards the ocean. The Type 2 cyclones have intermediate features between Type 1 and Type 3. These figures show the cumulative distribution function of the maximum deepening rate and minimum central pressure of the explosive cyclones. The extratropical cyclones are formed due to volcanicity between cold and warm air masses, but it is also known that cyclone development is accelerated over warm currents such as Kuroshio by taking heat energy from warm water in a similar manner as tropical cyclones, like Sanders and Gerken pointed out. Type 2 and Type 3 cyclones take the heat energy from Kuroshio current and achieve further development, resulting that the central pressure of type 2 and type 3 cyclones tends to be 5 to 10 hectopascal lower than type 1 cyclones. We performed numerical experiment using a three-dimensional ocean circulation model MITGCM to investigate statistical features of storm surge induced by the three types of explosive cyclones. The model computes the momentum and continuous equations with the input of the bathymetry and meteorological data shown here. We performed nesting computations with the two domains like this. This experiment ignores the tidal components of the sea level rise, so the computed result represents the meteorological component of the storm surge. In the numerical experiment, we chose 6, 6, and 12 cyclones from each evolution type and computed the response of the ocean. The samples of the cyclones were selected from the extremely strong cyclones having top 20% intensity among the explosive cyclones in the last 2 decades. In this figure, black lines are all trajectory of the past explosive cyclones, and red lines show the cyclones used in this experiment. These figures show the distribution of the mean sea level rise and its standard deviation. In type 1, the sea level rose in the large area of the northern part of the domain, since the explosive cyclones tend to be stronger and slower while they travel to the north. Type 1 cyclones cause significant sea level rise in the Japan Sea and Sea of Okhotsk. In type 2, surge level was found to be the lowest among the three types. This is because when type 2 cyclones attain the lowest pressure, they are often far away from the coastal area. And in type 3, the sea level tends to be high near the coastal area along the Pacific Ocean, especially in Nemuro Bay. And we can see the standard deviation of the surge level is high in Nemuro Bay. This means surge level of this location is so sensitive to the trajectory and intensity of explosive cyclones. Now we define three axes L1 to L3 along the coast of East Eurasia, west and east coast of Japanese archipelago, and calculated surge level distribution along the axis to recognize specific locations where has high risk of storm surge. These are meridional distribution of the maximum surge level at L1 coast. Blue area represents the 10th to 90th percentile, pink area is 30th to 70th, and black line is the 50th percentile of the sea level rise of the computation. The L1 coast is not really affected by type 2 and type 3 cyclones. Even with the type 1 cyclones, the median surge level was only about 30 centimeters at maximum. So we can say our risk of winter storm surge disaster is relatively low in L1 coast. L2 coast locally showed high vulnerability to the type 1 cyclones because seawater blown towards the east direction is blocked by the L2 coast to cause wind-induced sea level rise. The sea level is especially high in Akita Bay here or near Soya Strait here. In these locations, sea level was found to have a possibility to reach 1.6 meters, which is as much as the surge level in the storm surge in 2014 in Nemuro. In L3 coast, we can see significantly high surge level at Nemuro Bay. The 2014 Nemuro storm surge was induced by a type 3 cyclone, and we can see some of the type 3 cyclones may cause significantly high sea level rise in Nemuro Bay. But we can also see the sea level at Nemuro Bay can be high with the type 1 and type 2 cyclones as well. Nemuro Bay was found to have possibility to be suffered by the other types of cyclones. By the analysis so far, we could pick up some representative locations which likely to be affected by the winter cyclones. These figures show the exceeding probability of the maximum sea level at Sawyer and Akita Bay. Surge levels of 10% exceeding probability was 2.1 meter at Sawyer and 1.6 meters at Akita Bay for Type 1 cyclones, which are comparable to the 2014 Nemuro storm surge. While the 10% probability for Type 2 and 3 cyclones are less than 50 centimeters at the both locations. Only Type 1 cyclones seem to cause high risk of storm surge in the west coast of Japanese archipelago. These figures show the exceedance probability at Nemuro Bay, Sendai Bay, and Tokyo Bay. 10% exceedance probability at Nemuro Bay was 1.4 meters for Type 3 cyclones, which is almost same sea level with the 2014 record. And Nemuro Bay showed high 10% probability of 90 centimeters for Type 1 and 2 cyclones as well. Again, high vulnerability of Nemuro Bay against any type of explosive cyclones was confirmed. While in Sendai and Tokyo Bays, 10% probability sea levels was less than 60 centimeters for all types of cyclones. Winter cyclones might not be a major cause of storm surges at these locations. In summary, we showed statistical features of winter storm surge induced by explosive cyclones classified into 3 types based on their evolution patterns. Nemuro Bay was found to be the most vulnerable to the explosive cyclone regardless of the evolution type, but especially to Type 3 cyclones. Type 1 cyclones were found to have possibility to cause sea level rise as much as the Nemuro disaster in North Japan Sea. Type 1 cyclones were found to be an important external forcing that should be considered when we assess the risk of storm surge of this area. Since the evolution type of an explosive cyclone is determined based on the meteorological patterns, it is possible to make effective countermeasures by understanding the features of each type of storm surge. Thank you for listening.